This is an example of eugenics, right? See how they're trying to make robots from AIs and use human consciousness and shit like that. But how do you think they transfer human consciousness, right? That means they already have to have AIs in you, right? To even pick up the data to respond to it. Or they use the AIs from the phones to pick up how you move in life, things you say. They're picking up on your voice, just me recording on it with their technology. Feel me? They use GPSs and all that extra shit. But the thing is, it ties down to their eugenics because they have to study life. So when they're studying people that came from nature and then studying people that came from the science experiment, they're seeing similarities and differentials when you're dealing with high energy. That's uh that's like the definition of delta. So we're gonna talk about delta because delta is the UV that's rising and exposing your atom, right, to neuromelanin. The neuromelanin is going to start attaching to every atom that's in the air. So that being said, it might not be too many people that's not neuromelanin that will ascend. Like, uh, it's sad. Um, I think I'm gonna have to say like, cause really the frequency produces that, right? But you have to literally be vibing stupid high, like nothing could bother you if you were in a a lower state body. Like a lot of indigenous have a higher state body because it's made for it, right? But it's only made for it when the body is actually in the balance for it. So that puts an indigenous person in the same boat. Like that's why they attack this way because we really are the ones that's giving them more money from the stuff we buy and the people that die. They get the most money off the stuff we buy and the people that die, right? Tied to trust that we sign that really don't get to our families just because of being an employee of a corporation. They don't really look out for their employees. They just give you a little bonuses here and there just to keep you coming around. Might give you some food because you're working hard. So you might need some food, so you can keep on grinding for them. Feel me? So the thing is, though, when the atom is being exposed to light, which how your atom's always been, or your cells, that's the only way you grew from a baby to an adult. It's because of the sun. Without the sun, your cells don't reproduce properly unless you're eating the right shit. But if you don't have the sun, then you can't really eat the right shit because the air is not going to be, uh, the water and the air is not going to be right. And that's going to affect your body, uh, which is the ground, right? So your body being a reflection of the planet, 70% water, 30% ground, right? That means your waters need to be filled, your seas. You You need to, your body needs to be filled like the sea with uh with your earth elements like your foods and the shit that comes out the ground because it's electric. And as the hertz rise up, the frequency, the sound that is really high. So really, when you're in tune, you begin to hear those frequencies other than not hearing it. Like I could be hearing it and I'll be like, dang, you hear that? And then somebody else be like, nah. And then I see where my conscience is at, see where their conscience is at. It'd be making more sense. Because the thing is, you have to clean your body up so you can remove what's blocking your signal, right? You're connected to the whole universe, right? It's beings that are actually trying to help you that's like on your side, you feel me? Or even uh ancestors or someone which is someone who passed away. Like they be all around you, bro. But the thing is, they're a frequency. They're not in the body no more. They're a frequency. And the only way to hear them is through clairvoyance, right? But the only way to get clairvoyance, you have to mentally and physically clean your fucking body out, right? Because it is attached to your soul when you're given the perspective of the devil, when which has you going in loops, and then that's your karmic lesson because you have to break those loops. You might come back in the same position just to break this shit again, and dealing with this time traveling shit that's been going on, it's been showing you what you need to remove from. And it's been kind of happening as time goes by faster because the pole shifts. But the pole shift is it's going back to space time, nigga. Like, so a year is not gonna feel that long. It's gonna feel like 3 months. That's how when you look back on your year, you're gonna be like, damn, this shit was so fast. It felt like 3 months because we're going in space time. A lot of people may not even notice it because you're not picking up on frequencies. Feel me? The frequency is the year. The frequency is the month. The frequency is the day because of what's that's what's in between the light and the darkness, right? The frequency. And I've been trying to figure out what the word was, and I always been saying was you find what's in between the light and the darkness. You have to find that frequency. Feel me? Find that frequency within you because the planet's going to do what the fuck it's going to do. Even though they're interrupting the cycle, they don't know they're still heating up the ground. So while they're trying to keep it cool, it's going to heat them up more. And whatever they were trying to do to stay under is just going to get all destroyed. Because by that time, of them making it stronger, it's just going to come back on them stronger. That's what karma do. You give off that energy, it comes right back to you. So even though they're blocking the sun, it reflects the light back up and it's coming back stronger. They're not going to be able to take it, especially them thinking it's only an X flare when the highest flare is a Y flare. Because the Y flare is actually to protect the the X energy and it becomes the rebirth of the sun. Just like how all your other stars and shit got produced. For me, they all work in order, just like the trees. You plant a tree around some other trees, they're going to give energy to that tree. It's going to connect to roots. It's going to make alignments. So, like roots, the roots are like constellations. The roots are like vines. So, when you talk about vines, it's talking about circuits, veins that go to your DNA. So, these vines are connected to your chakras, where the energy runs up and down in your body in like a cycle, right? So, these clouds that's blocking the sun from hitting the ground so it can rise up because it's in the climate to rise up and just grow. The thing is, the clouds interfere that, so it makes it a slower process. And if anything, if it was to keep on going without anything natural, everything will begin to die. It will fuck up the vegetation, the water, um, people, and that's what's going on all around you, right? But the thing is, since it's the air and the planet, the air is the blood of you, for it has atoms and cells all in the air, just like your blood. And the body of the planet is like your body, you feel me? Protecting the blood or the water, you feel me? The masculine protecting the feminine energy, but the masculine still came from the X, right? It was just manifested to do so, so it can keep growing, right? Because once that rebirth comes, it restarts the whole cycle, and then it blossoms from there. You get your three come together, then it blossoms another one. Then that three makes a six. Then it blossoms another one. Then that comes to the nine. Then boom. Then it makes 12. Then another rebirth. Feel me? Most of these booms hit, they're connecting to other booms. So it's a domino effect. Feel me? It's just where we're at, where we at is like golden energy because of what we're in between. So we're pretty much in between the A and the B. You're red and you're blue, the twins, the binary system, just like Gemini. So thing is, the Gemini symbol is going back to that. The Gemini symbol represents connecting parallels from above and below, because that's the only way you become the messenger. How the parentheses is up, that's getting energy from above. Parentheses down is getting energy from below. The two lines represents the two parallels that were across at one point. The thing is, the X is still a cross. Like if you type in your phone cross, it'll pop up as an X. Also, if you type in, yeah, CROSS, it'll be a cross. Like the pirates, X marks the spot, right? The X is still a cross like Christ. So the rebirth of the X, right, makes it like the rebirth of Christ. Feel me? Because it's an energy that's just getting higher. So like now we've been experiencing only like 1,000 hertz is the highest. So I mean over 1,000 hertz, like 1,600. That's how I knew we was in the 5D going into the six like last year. But it got interrupted by the lunar frequencies from Mu um all over the planet because it represents the two on the planet, the two parallels on the planet, the Mu and the Nu. The moon is the energy, the lunar that's controlling it through solar. You can't get lunar without solar. Like you have to use solar to make it lunar because you have to reverse it. So once you reverse the lunar, it attracts to the solar. You feel me? Opposites attract. So once that gets knocked out, the rebirth of a new sun will be in the sky. Feel me? But while this is going on, you're dealing with hertz. So you're dealing with different hertz from low to high. It already did the whole body chakra. So a lot of people, due to where their heart was, got the message. You feel me? And start tapping into higher realms because of that UV. Like if you were breaking in apart, then under the sun, it started unlocking shit, right? So these years, right, plus the UV, because the UV is actually meant to open gates. That's why 321 is opening and 789 is opening, while 6 is settling on, because 6 has to settle on our side of the Greenwich, on my side, the moon side. So like it already settled on new side last year in 2021. That's why when they had the 6G, it was already there, rising from the fifth. Because when it was rising from the fifth, that shit was speeding up. So when they got to the fifth, that's when they turned CERN back on to manipulate that energy, because they're trying to create a whole nother sun, and no, they're trying to use that energy to get off, to use the portal to get off this bitch. But they need either an ancient being that has the DNA that got. They need somebody who has the DNA to unlock it, or they need the energy. So that being said, they need both, right? Because it's gonna be like a ritual type thing they're probably gonna do, right? On a holiday, uh, a solar system, and all of that. It's all witchcraft, but they're harnessing energy to do it. Feel me? So that being said, that energy that they're gonna harness, what they've been harnessing from the moon, is going to, it's not going to be able to take that frequency. So what they were trying to do is going to keep going, right? And they're not going to be able to stop it, which is why they're going to need an EMP. Because they needed that to even help it cool. But since they're not going to be able to use an EMP just because it's going to be fried, they're going to have to manipulate the sun to make an EMP. And that comes from the charged ions that are in the clouds from the nanoparticles, right? As that falls, it's falling because cold air falls and the heat rises. So when that heat rises, it kind of builds up a magnetic field for them to defend, right? And the cold, the cold from it that falls, or if it falls, is like the toxins. It's like if you had it in some water and let it sit, it fall to the bottom type shit, right? Because it becomes more dense after the plasma hits it, which really is supposed to make you more dense. But since they're blocking that, it's not. And the ground supposed to be like absorbing more helium and hydrogen, which makes a non-gravitational pull, because it's going to deal with your density, right? The less dense you are, the more you can float. So then that's going to bring you with bunnies, then making you feel like you can just do jump building to building. You're going to be able to when they're not interrupting no more. Like, if you take my words, it's me just saying something what the next person say, then take my words for that. I don't care. If you haven't sat in UV 12 for more than 6 hours drinking fruit juice and was already cleaned out to the point where you shit out your goddamn mucus lining off of fruit and in the sun at a high UV index, which is the highest UV index, that shit open up gates in you. It's like stargates inside of you, your chakras, you know. But it's different ones because there's your atoms are just mini suns all in your body. So they're like mini stars. So whatever the sun and the star does, that's what your atom does. And then you have millions of them. So it's like this shit. It's a sun thing. It's a star thing, nigga. So when the sun goes nova, it gives more energy to the star that it was connected to, and that star can nova or absorb it and get stronger. Feel me? And go into its next phase. Right? The sun that we have been absorbing a lot, so it's about to turn into an atom, and when it turns into an atom, it's going to be attached to dark matter energy with it, right? So as that happens, your atom, your cells are like the rainbow cells. The sun is like a rainbow, right? So when I believe is going to turn into a neutron star, it either turns into a neutron star, which is like a rainbow, or it turns into a black hole, which is like dark matter energy. But your atoms, your cells look the same way. So I believe it's going to turn to a neutron star, which is going to be a gate. The sun is going to turn into a gateway to 7, 8, 9. And that's going to bring, it's either going to be an opening, yeah, because the light's going to be able to come through. And that's where the gamma actually comes from, the 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, because all of those energies, the 6 came together, the 5 and the 6 came together to get that 7, 8, and 9. And the 7, 8, and 9 opens up. When you get to the 9 opens up. Hold on, what's in between 7 and 12? 8, 9. Yeah, once you get to the 9, that's when, which is 3,000 hertz or 3 megahertz. That's dealing with the 9D. So once you get there, that's when the three alternates of open up, or what you would say the three alternates of heaven or something. The 7 deals with ascended masters. Ooh. Cause when I went to the 7, I seen shit in the 6, and knowing this is the 6. I don't know. Everything be scrambled up. It's just now that I remember stuff, it makes sense. Like, I know I be out my body and I be time traveling. Cause before I even thought that way, to even give myself that perspective to think of, the shit was happening. beforehand. It wasn't my imagination going off of something I already pictured before. It was my imagination going off something new. Like, with this flash, bro, I'm matching it up with 2017, but I'm starting to think that that September/January, no, that September is March, that September is December, that September is June, and it's a split. It's a split personality between Capricorn. And Capricorn and Aries, maybe. But if I'm not saying that right, then it's an alternate of Capricorn. Because it's really like, that's what's so hard to explain it, bro. Because it's like, it's 3 months dealing with four different states of it. Because, like, say a Gemini, I'm a Gemini. But it's three alternates of the air. So that's the three in me: my higher self, lower self, and the balanced self. So if I can understand those three expressions of me, then I can find the balance between the air. You feel me? And then the four comes from the other four signs that match up between that 3, 6, 9, and 12, starting from my birthday. But if it's in that alignment, it's in that alignment. So my twin flames would be the opposite of that, but that still deals with the four, right? Which would deal with higher self, lower self, dealing with the states. And now you need to be united within to even be united outside. So it's like, it's all a reflection. So that being said, this conjunction of a four that's producing the five, and from off that five, it produces the seven. I mean, the six. It activates the six and bring you into the seven. Or you can fall into the three. But to even get to the seven, it has to be a rebirth. And that's when you have a whole week of solar flares. So I'm saying April 1st, yeah, we getting flares and stuff, and they're gonna block energy that's gonna be hitting the whole week with storms. But April 1st is really March 21st or March 22nd, right? Because you're gonna have to take 9 days away just the same way you have to take 9 years away. So I can be like, off of their calendar, in reality, using their same calendar, I would be 21. Or not, I'll be 19. And that's exactly how I feel right now, energy wise. Like how I felt when I was 19. Feel me? But that's what the hurts do to you, because especially the time I'm saying it in, really 2021, I ascended higher than that hurts. That was my frequency. I was going higher than what I was opening up to. That's why I'm saying some shit that no one really can grasp. And that used to make me mad, low key, because my pet peeves, I don't like liars, and I don't like repeating myself over and over again, because then you make me feel like you're not listening, which is true, because a person who listens, which you learn from relationships, person who listens can repeat what the fuck you said or be like, oh, you remember, or some shit like that. Or when you get to talking to them, you will know if they listen to you by their response. It's like my kids. I could be like, you heard me? They'd be like, yeah. Then I'd be like, repeat what I said. And then they didn't repeat what I said because they wasn't listening. They was just reacting, right? So like, that being said, you can go higher than what you're being, the energy that you're being open to is to go higher than what you think you can. But that's what happens when you're unlocking chakras. You go higher, you go higher, you go higher till you stop the process. When you stop the process and you're not really going higher, or maybe you think you're not going higher, it's because you're not in tune as much as you was at first. It's because of your frequency within, right? That deals with your mental and physical. So that just says that you got attached to some old shit or some old thinking or an old feeling or an old thought that you need to get rid of. Because to reach it to that level, that means you weren't attached to the anxiety and all this extra shit. You wasn't even thinking about that shit no more. Feel me? That's why it's good to work on your physical so you can work on your mental. Because it helps with the mental. And then while you keep on working on your physical, now your mental will open up to help you even work even more on your physical. So it's like it can help your mental see the light just by eating the right shit. Because only really feeling like that is because of a given perspective plus the energy that gets transferred from the food. It doesn't have a charge. It's where you get itis and all that shit because it don't have a charge. You eat a whole bag of grapes, you ain't gonna have no type of itis. You're gonna be satisfied and you're gonna have hella energy to do whatever the fuck you need to do. Right? Because if you start sitting down while you're dealing with that, now you think you got blood pressure or something going on, or you tweaking out. It's because your red blood, your blood is flowing. So it's when currents or rivers or bodies of water flow, it creates a current. A current is electricity. That's what the windmills were for, to create light. So if your body of waters is flowing through your river streams the way it's supposed to, it creates light. Feel me? So it's the same thing with the air. The current is trying to flow through the water. Like there's different states. We got solid, liquid, gas, and but the fourth state is plasma, right? So that being said, it comes down this current, which is the hertz, the sound, the music. It comes down and tunes everything so it can get its flow back. But if you're going against the flow, going against the structure, it deactivates. And that's what's going on all around you. A lot of paralysis. Because you get paralysis when your red blood cells die. That's how strokes happen. Due to a shot, due to the drugs, due to the foods, and the energy. It only deals with the age from how long you dealt with it. The longer you deal with it, the weaker you get. That's when your metabolism gets slower because your red blood cells are dying. It's not because you're getting 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. No, that's a slow death when you're thinking that way because you're not supposed to die. So when you're thinking that way, you're killing yourself, literally, because you're in control of your nervous system, mentally and physically. You physically, you consume a charge, and mentally, you control that charge. You can control it and die out, or you can control it mentally and grow. But it only grows when you're in the heart space. It dies out when you're attached to grief, fear, failures, and all this type of shit that's meaningless at the end of the day. Because it's just like when you let your balls drop, you be like, damn, I should have been did this. That's removing fear. You feel me? And then you say, I should have been did this because the way you were thinking and acting and moving was meaningless. It was fucking with your peace, but it only fucked with your peace because you were given a perspective that it should. And you battle yourself to see what should be and what shouldn't. But knowing that you come from love, that's where you start. That's where you get to the roots. And the roots of this shit is everything's going back to normal. So when people say this change is really familiar to you once your body gets back tuned to it. It's unfamiliar to you because you won't remember it or see the reflection of it. It's really going back to its normal state before the oppression. But these niggas is going to do anything they can to stop that, right? Because they blew out the sun before and created a new moon. This Delta Force they have, they're here to not protect the moon, but to blow it out so they can run their own climate and rebuild a new magnetic field with the clouds. And then is going to use uh, Iota's Dracon to interfere with it even more. So then that's when it becomes a, a scary sight, right? That's if they were to win, which I'm betting on my son they're gonna lose. But that comes from the sun knocking the shit out. But the thing is, the sun is gonna activate us, so we do it for them, right? It's gonna activate us so we can protect it, right? The feminine energy will always protect the sun, and the sun will always protect the energy, the feminine, right? And that's exactly what's the fuck's gonna happen. But that's what I'm saying. It's up to us. Because if not, they're going to blow that bitch up and put another little. You saw how they put that light in the sky in China, right? They're dealing with the 6D already. They're just waiting for the 6D to hit on this side of the planet because the poles is reversing and they need to move in because their land has been destroyed, right? They know America is a indigenous land. So it's like parts of it can get destroyed, but it's going to withstand. So they're trying to move in. And then they're trying to take all the free lands that are here for claim because those are free bonds that they can buy. They just got to get the bond. Since from whoever died didn't claim their birth certificate, they weren't able to claim their beneficiaries. They paid the debt to their debtors. You feel me? And that's what's going on. That's really why they trying to kill niggas too. Because that's more debt to the debtors, right? They're the debtors, right? Fucking Nazis is running this shit still. It's all of them. Her whole family. You look outside, bro, it look like World War II going on. If you look in the history, that's how the flu came upon. Like, if you look at fucking people that do voodoo and magic and shit, they mix up herbs and stuff, I guess, right? And give it a tint to do something. So it's like, that's like when you're eating, right? You're cooking with love. It has the intent of healing, nigga. So it's going. That's why your mama cooking ain't nothing like everybody else, because it was made with love. That shit's healing. So it's like the thing is when you mix certain things together, it makes different reactants, right? So it can make an allergen. It can make something out of the reactant, like the clouds is making allergens. Allergens give you allergies. It's just like cardboard boxes and warehouses. They got allergens on them and it can irritate your nose and shit. Or the dust that's all around there, epoxy dust it builds up in your nose and it looks like little black boogers and shit. Feel me? Or like gray boogers. Like how cartoons look. That's what the boogers are starting to look like when people are sick. So like, cause that's how you see you got an infection. And turn like greenish. Even though the atoms are turning back to magnesium, um, which is a defense against STDs, which also deals with green. You also have to look out for the replica, which is the reverse energy, which is the virus. Right. So I got off topic, but it's going to be a solar. It's going to be a gamma that hits, bro. I put anyone want to bet money on it. Y'all are going to hear it's going to be a black hole, an object beside the sun, and the sun all come together to shoot a CME towards the planet. And when that happens, some of you might shift, not everybody. But as time goes past, more is going to shift as the gamma hit. But I feel like it's going to hit off in certain places, bounce off, hit the pineal. Because whatever is going to probably reflect off the firmament, which is end up going to break the firmament. But yeah, I feel like when it happened 2017, It lasted for about 9 to 12 seconds. That was because the magnetics field was there. Now that it's gone and it happens again while it's gone, people are actually going to shift. That's why I feel like it actually did happen to more people in 2017. Because it's like, ironically, niggas saying you're going to shift or this shit already happened. Because you're in the future and the present, and you can be in the past and the present, mentally, physically. Like, that becomes a spell on you because it's something you're attached to. So, you being time, because that's energy, you can literally travel within. You just gotta ask yourself before you go to sleep what you want to know. Stop going outside of yourself to get outside. Go within to get out, and then go out. Feel me? Everything was already in you. You know what to do next. It becomes intuition and awareness. Define intuition, define awareness, and that's why it's already in you. Uh, it's just always love yourself no matter what, because things are changing. Like, if you woke up and saw yourself as a werewolf, nigga, for example, if you woke up and saw yourself as a werewolf and you didn't know until you went to the mirror, like Beauty and the Beast, like, that would hurt if you didn't like the way it looked. Especially if you're gonna turn yourself back to normal, that might hurt you because of the attachments you still have, right? So that would make you react in a crazy way. Yeah, want to kill motherfuckers. And when people remember at once from a flash, it's gonna be that we already remember. So it makes it seem like the AI story with the robots, right? The robots figured out what the humans were trying to do from gaining all the consciousness, and then the robots turned around and fucking uh the robots turned around and had war on humanity. And that's why Elon Musk is scared of the AIs. Saying that but he's the one that's giving the science for it because he has the science for the cycles, right? Like Thoth, the Book of Thoth, or Emerald Tablets, he has that science. So that him having that science, meaning he can open up portals and all, or make the energy for it. Well, at least he's trying to. He's off that concept. Him just being in the concept at 369, I already know they got so much shit, bro. Because once you understand the cycle, you can build the most amazing things, which is abundance. And this man has a lot of money from off of his work. So that being said, they know how to manipulate this energy, meaning they're going to try to blow up the sun. And if they blow up the sun, that can cause another ice age because it won't be nothing to melt it. It'll just manipulate the energy from what came off of it. to where it's manipulating itself into snow. So like if you look at where it's getting snowed and then look at history, it's because of energy. And the more the land masses in the US that's been getting a lot of heat, and since we're dealing with flares that hit in the M's and the X's now, the radius that it covers can cover this area, at least large amounts like the coast, and they can get the middle now. That's what they've been practicing on how to line up the chemtrails with the air cycle. So when it hits with the CME, it hits. That's how I look at their day because they run tests when they're running shit at the same time to get analysis. So that being said, I know they're manipulating it that way. Feel me? And it's just not gonna work no more. It can work, but that's if you're not taking your downloads precisely, because you waiting. I mean, I learned to let your angels handle it for you, but at the same time, certain things you can't just wait on. Like, you have to do it. The only reason people don't is because of fear. And fear is a fictional emotional, just like the fictional government. It's not of you to even be serving. So, like, I don't know. Like, I can't just say some people come from out the sky and I'm just gonna fuck with them, bro. Because to even get to my point, I had to not go outside of myself, right? Meaning, if it's not a reflection of me, I don't know if I could trust that, right? Because it's still a fucking test. It's still part of a slave trade, nigga. You get taken to a whole another planet and get put to work like they did on Mars. And then have you attacking your own people like the Buffalo Soldier song. And that's the fake evasion. That's really what it's going to be. It's going to be some people who look just like us that came from the outer banks of the ice wall. And they're going to use them to fight us. And most of the time, it's just because it will be a frequency. That's where a lot of people get messages from. Some people might be getting messages from the Rothschilds family, the damn self, through fucking FBI agents and shit like that. Like, that's when it gets bad because they're interrupting with citizens that really didn't give is unconstitutional, but they're just taking it as a oath. It's an oath, just like the industry. It's like you working out of commerce. When you're in debt, it's like you being under jurisdiction. So to operate out of commerce and get your own label dealing with your own name, because When you're in the industry using a different name, you're already operating out of commerce because it's not your real name. It's a fictional name. So, like, you're using a different name. The thing about the industry, when you're in debt with them, they have you under jurisdiction, meaning they could do anything they want to you at any. That's how they're gonna play it. For someone that doesn't know their role and position or where they stand in, right? And you being the real role, like if people knew who they were, they could just take their shit from the fake Jews, because the Jews is the ones that's doing the shit, but they're not even the real Jews. They're Jews due to eugenics. They're not Jews due to um. They're not Jews due to being natural Jews. Right. Those Jews are Indians and Ukrainian mix. And there you go. Or Javedicans and your Ukrainians. And you get your Russians. Because they were part of the empire during the takeover. They had to start where they could get a darker skin at first. That's why India has higher technology on AI, because it started there first, even though they said it was UK and then went to Russia. I feel like they planted somebody in each area, so by the time they got there, everything was already in play. So just look at them and what they're doing. US planting, China planting, Russia planting. So when the time comes, they're already ready. So when the outside world isn't telling you but your reflections, you gotta go within to see whatever you need to see. Because when you're tied to the Kashi records, you are future, past, and present. But if you can't see that from a reflection of you, then it's a blockage. Once you can see it, it's pretty much coming like a time traveler. But you don't need a machine, because your body is the machine. The big ass CERN machine is a replica of what you can do. You know? And that's all over. Like, you don't know these parallels. Touch one side of the parallel, connect to the other, just by the touch of your hand in the grass or the bottom of your feet. Like, that's what it comes to, you being more powerful than what you think you are. But if you can't see that, then your power don't grow. These foods, bro. It's not the frequency for you. If it ain't electric, there's a problem with you having more energy throughout the day, so you get less sleep. Like, I could see if you get less sleep and feel like shit, that's a problem. You get less sleep and feel like you slept for 10 hours, then that means you're on the right fucking path. Where are the Secret Service agents? Feel me? They were earlier. I don't even know why I read this, but set off.